There we go. Okay.
Hello, YouTube. Hello, Odyssey. Hello, Rumble. Welcome to the Idiot Podcast, episode 44. We are approaching number 50, which is great, and it's also a little bit not concerning, but more like it's fascinating that we've done nearly 50 of these. 50 weeks of these people sitting down and talking each
Yep.
Sunday.
And now we've been doing topics for about like 20 or 30 episodes, which.
hmm
Mhm. So, at any rate, today's topic, is favorite. I need to introduce today's lunch. Today's lunch is just basic chicken, potatoes, and cream corn. Just basic leftovers. Courtesy of Lady Stone, who is an amazing cook. But today's topic, Morocco, shush,
That's the
is
topic.
favorite fantasy movies or games. As I usually like doing fantasy stuff after Halloween, probably because as we let our imaginations run wild with horror and everything, I kind of pivot to fantasy and everything.
Hmm.
hmm
I've talked about this before, but yeah, it's just something I like doing. In the fall, I just enjoy fantasy stuff. So, obviously, we know my favorite game for fantasy is God of War. Kind of a given there. um, but my favorite fantasy movie, definitely the Lord of the Rings series. I've mentioned that before, and they're among my favorite movies of all time. But if you want to go outside of Lord of the Rings, definitely Conan the Barbarian. Did you guys ever see that one?
Which one?
The very
Maybe a
first Conan
clip
the
or a
Barbarian.
trailer. I don't know.
Never saw it.
Maybe like I don't know. Maybe like just a part of it when it ran on TV while I was flipping channels.
Well, the original Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger is a friggin' classic, and it was honestly one of the movies that actually got his career started.
Yep.
Because
Mm.
it was just this little, at the time, unsung '80s fantasy movie, and it just took off, and Arnold just became a household name after that. So, you know, pretty amazing movie. Um, Again, one of my favorites, and is really one of the ones that got the fantasy genre going. Because, but really, I think what made fantasy movies actually profitable was Lord of the Rings. Because the main problem was because Lord of the Rings, before it, fantasy movies were kind of seen as a joke. They really were. They were not seen as
How
profitable.
so?
Well, because they were not seen as profitable. They were not seen as, you know, movies that made a lot of sense. And so
Okay.
Hollywood just stayed far away from them. They're like, we're not sure how to tackle a fantasy movie. It can either go just fine and make like a modest profit, or it can bomb hard. That's how fantasy went up until Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring in 2001.
Hmm.
But you mentioned your favorite fantasy series.
Yeah. Well, I love the movie trilogy of How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, How to Train. Yeah, that technically is a fantasy series, after all.
What do you mean? Technically, it is. It literally has one
Yeah,
of the fantasy
dragons.
animals,
Yeah,
dragons.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's
it's interesting
it's
because
set in a fictional place, and
yeah, it's interesting because those movies deviate very heavily from the book, but people just
Huh,
do not mind at
okay.
all.
Oh, they're still great media. I'm like, in my opinion, of course, I haven't read the books. I've seen them even translated to check in bookstores, but I'm kinda not interested
Yeah,
in them.
honestly, the
I don't know.
movies
I
are
have
just
the
based on like the
You know,
the way the
you know
book
what
was-
the books don't have?
what
The music.
yeah, the music is beautiful.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
On top of
One,
this,
one, one.
like the main problem with the books, from what I've read on them, is that Hiccup just stays a loser, and it's just like, why? You know that's not compelling. You know, it's like
Right.
no one wants to hear a story where the hero just stays a loser. You know,
Hmm,
um,
suppose so.
but it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely kind of awesome, and Stoic is obviously one of my favorite characters in that story
Uh-huh.
because he's like a standard deviation away from Kratos.
I don't understand how, and I don't want to know.
Because
So that's
he's
for
this
the
big,
movie.
burly, awesome
I
warrior.
said I don't want to know.
Okay.
And so that would cover the most favorite movie trilogy of fantasy. I think there are more fantasy movies that I like, but I cannot remember right now. So for games, and I think that can count. It's like, well, the how to say it. Since I'm currently playing it, I guess I'm gonna just pinpoint Pokemon Emerald as a cool
Oh, that's a
fantasy
good
game.
ass game. Oh my god, that is a good game.
But the question is, does
Because I
Pokemon
mean,
count as fantasy?
well, there are animals with superpowers. And the one, so
I guess. Um,
I mean, I don't know how else would it. I mean, of course, there's some sciencey stuff, I guess, with how the Pokeballs work, but
yeah,
it's mostly about the creatures, and the creatures are fantastical.
I guess. I don't know.
And yeah, well, just like I don't know what else would be a fantasy game that I know. Maybe Minecraft, but again, that's like what I mean. Well, nah, that's like I mean it has a dragon, but again, it's just fun.
I mean, there's a lot of fantasy creatures like zombies and stuff. Um, but
So yeah,
um, I guess if you had to
like
classify Pokemon as fantasy, it's like, yeah, when you are a kid and you start getting older and you're wanting more independence from your parents, Pokemon is like you're 10 years old and you get to wander the world and just train monsters and make money from it. That's every kid's fantasy.
mm, yeah. So there you have it. And again, the Pokemon are fantastical creatures. So yeah, for me that counts. You know, here's a dog that breathes fire. Here is a here's a flower that walks and smells and scatters poisonous pollen. So yeah. Oh, yeah, and I like I like the world building, the everything, and the music again. It wouldn't be Nate praising media if they wouldn't praise the music. So and okay, I see them again. I mean, I haven't finished Pokemon Emerald yet because I am stuck. I don't know how to get to Most Deep City. So, and I've looked it up, but I forgot, and just I haven't had the time to play. But again, I mean, I enjoy the Hoenn region very much because it's slightly tropical and all that stuff. And if I had the money for the full console, I would definitely just pick the Alola games when they would run because I am drawn to this, I'm drawn to water. So that's
Test.
that.
There we go. Like,
Yeah, we hear you.
yeah. Morocco unplugged the mic because I had to toss a piece of food to get it out from under me.
You should have Morocco join the
to
call.
get it. Jeez. But yeah, definitely is, I would say, a fantasy concept. And yeah, I think we can agree that Zatch Bell would definitely be classified as a fantasy concept, wouldn't it?
You talking to me?
Yeah. I mean,
I am not
magic.
into Zatch Bell like at all, so of course he's talking to you.
I know, but that's Andy's wheelhouse for sure. Aside from
Oh yeah,
Zatch Bell, what are some of your favorite fantasy movies or games, Andy?
I do like Dark Souls.
You like Dark Souls? I know you do. You
Yeah.
really helped me out in 3.
I gave you crutches. I gave you a car. I
You
said
didn't give me just crutches. You gave me a goddamn missile launcher.
Dang.
Oh yeah.
You
But the
basically
other thing I
allowed me
like is I'm not sure this counts as fantasy, probably not. But there's this one anime that I found recently that I'm actually on YouTube that I like.
What
It's
is it?
called Discord Girls. It's about 4 girls that talk on Discord
Hmm.
in a Discord server, and they play games.
That's oddly meta.
They made an anime out of
and they're
that?
sus as fuck.
Oh no.
I see.
That's funny.
Well, how's it exactly a fantasy series?
uh, because I guess it's not really a fantasy, to be fair, but
Or are you fantasizing about them? Is that it?
sure, we'll go with that.
This is fantasy, Andy, not fantasizing.
Oh man, but yeah, it's but yeah, for fantasy games, definitely the Soul series, like Bloodborne and Elden Ring and all that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Elden Ring is goddamn hard.
Yeah,
I
did
am.
they just come with the DLC?
I have. You mean Shadow of Erdtree?
I think so. Yeah.
I have not gotten it yet. I might have to get past the Godskin Apostles because those bastards are so goddamn tough.
Hmm. Well, it's even tougher.
What?
The PvP.
Oh, don't even get me started on. People
Getting
just.
invaded.
I've gotten invaded before, and I've fended it off a few times, but it's still a little frustrating when it happens.
Especially when they kill you and point down at you.
Mm-hmm. And I've gotten invaded
Or
in Dark Souls as well. And dude literally got lucky because like an enemy popped up out of nowhere and hit and staggered me before I could finish him off.
and then he just goes and points down at you and throws dung pies at your dead body.
Yep.
I am learning things about this game.
What's interesting
So
about the Souls series in general is that it is a mix of both fantasy and cosmic horror. Because with all 3 of those series, there is so much Lovecraft like woven in with all 3 of them. Just these fantastical, elder gods that are, millions upon millions of years old and have shaped civilization, and there's been so many civilizations that have come and gone and risen and fallen in, all three of them.
Yeah.
Like in Bloodborne, like there's the Thumerian catacombs where there was the Thumerian civilization and it eventually fell and gave rise to the Canehursts, and their castle is now abandoned, and then the Canehursts gave birth to Yarnum itself, Sort of just this interesting cycle of life and death that the whole Bloodborne series kind of thrives in.
I also think that the Soul series has some decent comedy as well.
There is.
Comedy?
I mean, there are like some characters that are kind of funny, but in a sort of very like Schadenfreude kind of way. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, that's not really what I meant.
Well, then what do you mean? What did you mean?
I meant it's so funny. Just seeing all the videos of trolling people, or
Oh,
just the people being toxic. It's
oh,
fuck. That shit is
there's that
funny.
aspect to it. But
Like
I mean, like,
like say for example, there was this one time where I was hosting in Dark Souls 3 in the forest.
mhm,
I forget what it's called. It's been a while. But three invaders invaded me, and
mhm.
they all tried to jump my ass. So I summoned Hodrick, and Hodrick killed their asses.
Oh, damn.
He killed their asses so hard. That was so funny. I'm like, get out of here, you thirsty bastards! Get out of here. And then I fucking pointed down at them because they're scrubs trying to jump me. Oh, it's funny too because you always get the idiots who R1 spam like, die, die, die. Like they know no skill at all, just R1 spam for days, bro.
Yep.
And then they
And
get
yeah,
parried and one shotted.
it's the case with like virtually any game. Like on Fortnite, um, there was a big Fortnite update yesterday, and they took away all the Marvel stuff, which was good because a lot of it was just getting ridiculous. You know, you're getting fucking Iron Man's entire suit there, and you're just like fucking deleting people. You know,
Wow.
and so they basically with their new chapter made it just pure gunplay again, which is like, yes, finally, it's actual comes down to skill and not luck, just lucking upon Iron Man's entire suit. You know, and I mean, it's unfair. It's just like Iron Man's entire suit is mythic class, so it's like, how the fuck do you compete against someone who just finds that at random? You know?
That is true.
Yeah, it's literally unfair. So, and hang on, I'll be right back. But Nate, did you mention a favorite fantasy game you have?
Well, yes.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
you said
well, I'm
Pokemon.
again, yeah.
But is there any others?
Sorry to interrupt, but I actually got to get going.
Oh, you do?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's
See
okay.
you.
Later, Andy.
All right, see you later, man.
Okay. But Nate, any others aside from Pokemon?
Trying to think.
Hang
I
on.
do play Dragon Whale.
Dragon Whale?
That's yeah, Dragon Whale, the park building game with dragons,
Oh,
with
elaborate while I
with
walk my feet right quick.
surprisingly deep lore. That that you get by reading like different buildings and decoration descriptions and dragons bios as well. So yeah, shit happened and now you are just building a magical dragon park in the sky because the surface is unlivable.
It kind of sounds like Merge
Anyways,
Dragons.
Merge Dra-
There's
was it a
another mobile.
Facebook game?
I think so, yeah, or it's a mobile game.
Oh no, this. Oh, ew. Ugh. I got several ads on that and just like blah. No, but I think Dragon Whale is the best out of the genre
Hmm.
because I mean some people may know Dragon City.
Mhm.
I tried playing Dragon City because oh, it's just like Dragon Whale. No, it sucks. It sucks ass. Dragon Whale, peak. Dragon City, trash. In the middle, there's Dragon Mania Legends. That's
There,
like
there
okay.
really does need to be like more fantasy city building games because part of
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
huh?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, because I just wish Conan Exiles didn't require the frickin' ENIAC supercomputer to run because there are so many mods I want to install on Conan Exiles and run,
Oh,
but it
well,
frickin' nearly
yeah.
melts down my computer when I try.
Yeah, if you want mods, you're gonna have to like, invest in a gaming monster.
For sure, yeah. Something that
Yeah.
like
In my opinion, if I tried any mod for like, for Sparking Zero, my computer would just die.
yeah.
It already is slow
Yeah.
with that game, so yeah.
I mean, we'll see if on top of this any computer prices start going down because of recent events. Hopefully so.
Mm,
Um,
I don't know. But I'm still looking through like, my games that I have here on my like, on my devices. And Rain World is definitely sci-fi. Sparking Zero is
Dragon Ball is kind of a
uh,
tough thing to categorize. It's
yeah,
like
it's like a mix of
fantasy,
everything.
sci-fi, and martial arts.
Yeah. So yeah, again Minecraft that has like, I guess some limits, like,
I
and again it's
Minecraft
like,
is kind of like
it's
its own
fictional.
genre practically. It definitely started the crafting genre. Again, for as much shit as I give Minecraft, I will give it its due. It did start the crafting game craze, you know?
Hmm. Oh, I see Super Starfish on my phone here. Yeah, I also like, well, I definitely used to farm that a lot. Now I kind of mellowed out. But yeah, you have like these literally like, fish that live in space and you collect them. You have like, this it's like, it's like space well, I mean, like, it sounds like sci-fi, but it's just like pure magic. So
What
I
magic?
would say it's like, fantasy stuff. What?
What magic?
Just pure magic. I don't know.
Oh, pure magic.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it seems to me. It seems like magical to me, very. And it's again, it's just a little game that you go with
I
your fish
forget
on
who said
adventures.
it.
It's like
Was it-
an endless runner thing. Like I don't know.
Hang on, I'm looking up a quote. Magic is just science quote. Who said it?
Yeah, yeah.
Arthur C. Clarke, who said magic is just science we don't understand yet.
Hmm.
Have you heard that quote?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not like maybe like not, but I know it.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
simple.
So it's like
Mm.
a lot of what we thought was magic was our attempt to explain scientific events, back when we were, you know, more primitive and everything.
Yeah.
Like trying to explain how the sky could be sunny one minute and then literally pouring rain and thundering within like an hour. Our explanation for that was for Thor the thunder god getting angry.
Mhm.
or
Yeah, that's like every god like.
and of course there were instances of infidelity in Norse culture. Our explanation for
Wait,
that was
what's that?
infidelity.
In fuck, I can't
Basically,
type.
when you cheat on your partner in marriage.
Ah, right.
Yeah, and or have a baby out of wedlock and everything. The excuse for that was Loki. I I didn't cheat on my wife. I was tricked by Loki the trickster.
Okay, sure,
That wasn't me. That was him.
sure, buddy.
Yeah. Or
Mm,
in the actual Viking show, um, it was
what
sometimes
show?
excused as Heimdall as well. Oddly enough, because he oddly was a male fertility god, which is weird. It's like, how many different roles did Heimdall fill? Um,
You should know that. Come
well,
on,
here's
it's
the
your
thing.
whole,
Like,
it's your
there's
whole
different
thing.
interpretations by different scholars with these. There's generally accepted ones, and then
Well, then
there's
study up. Study up. You hear gloat about having Viking blood, and like you don't know anything like to the last point.
I know enough.
So
It's
study
just
up.
that, like I said, sometimes translations differ. Like, the translation for Jotnar or Jotun is very, very fucky. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's fucky. Because it means giant, but at the same time, they don't have to necessarily be giant. They can just be a being of incredible power. That's it. Like I said, it's a very, very fucky translation.
Yeah, well, that's your problem.
It isn't. The main problem is that none of the Vikings wrote any of it down. It was passed down orally, or the only thing we have is ruins of old temples that have been preserved, and also stuff saved on runes on stone, and some of it could be eroded. 1,000 years of erosion could have erased some key details.
Yeah,
You know?
most likely did.
Yeah.
But again, that's your problem. You're gonna have to deal with it.
Yep. I mean, we can always imagine to fill in the gaps and everything. I think there's a reason why the beginning of Norse creation mythology is called Ginnungagap, aka gap, because it's a huge gap in time that we don't know about.
Lol.
Like
That
all
word is
creation.
very funny.
Huh?
That word is very funny. It sounds like baby babbles.
Ginnungagap.
Yeah.
I mean, when you really think about it, a lot of early language is a bit of just like babble. Like
I guess so.
early languages really are that. We don't really have like refined languages until like the 16th century, until we actually like start agreeing on what words mean. And that's another thing that's interesting to think about when it comes to history. It's like how much of it is lost due to like some scholars just not knowing like the colloquial term for a word, Like, we understand a word to mean something, but people back then might have thought that word meant something entirely different.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, even like, today, literally, I have like, the Spanish word mochila.
Mochila
It means backpack.
means what?
However, mochila, backpack.
Backpack?
Backpack.
Oh, backpack. Okay.
Yeah. However, in our language, mochila means like sheep eat.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, words change all the frickin' time,
well, no, I mean, well, it's not a change. It's like, what sounds the same means totally
Right.
different stuff.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so in internet slang, lit means cool, or this is lit, this is awesome. Where anyone over the age of 50 is gonna go, this is wait, did you mean you guys lit a candle? What? I mean, am I right?
But don't look at me. I'm Gen Z. Come on.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if we threw all of like internet slang at our parents, they are going to like
Oh
look at us
my.
like we're from Saturn.
Yeah. Or even like, some unfortunate like low class person from let's say, I don't know, 17th century England or something.
Right? I
They
mean,
would
but then again,
I think then their
they'll use
brain would
words that we don't use
explode.
today, like verily or the, or
I don't know
instead
what
of
those
saying
mean.
no, they say nay or prithee.
Okay, that's like nay, it's still, it's still understandable.
Right, but or they say prithee,
What's that?
prithee, knave. I don't
What?
even. I'm not even fully sure what prithee means.
Okay, then look it up.
Okay, let's look it up. What does prithee mean?
I don't even know how you spell it because to me it just sounds like pretty, but I know
E
that's not
R
what you say.
I T H E E.
I completely missed
Basically a
that.
conjunction of pray thee,
Ah,
which is
okay.
typically a used for a request, like prithee, might I do something?
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
it's like basically old Shakespearean talk, and with the coming up of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 on my birthday. I'm glad like both that one and Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 didn't use that like Shakespearean language because I think it would have been kind of cringe.
Oh my, if they used fucking Old Czech or Staročeština, that would be...
I mean they do in some instances, like for like the
What?
written stuff and like
Yeah, but like, if the whole game was in Old Czech, oh my, that would be alright, even for, like, especially for me.
I mean like that's the thing, it came out of a Czech studio so they should have.
Yeah.
You know, I mean I get they want to
Yeah,
hit
like,
English markets because that's where the money is,
mm,
but
yeah, but they could have included, like, a language option. Yeah,
they
but
should
still.
have. They really should have, especially since this is now going to be one of the, big European game studios. Especially
Alright,
if
nice.
especially if Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 does really well. Which again, I am going to buy one of the first copies, so I will make sure of that.
Oh, copies? You're like, you're gonna get physical?
Yes, I will get physical with that game.
Nice, even better. Good for you. Yes. Physical
Um,
games rock.
yep.
Yes, for physical games. Keep the discs alive.
That is
Peace.
that is the big discussion that I think maybe should take up for a next luncheon is that, it's like
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah. Like
frustration of
media preservation. Yeah.
media preservation. You think that should be the next topic?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Well
cool.
then, I gotta walk Morocco. He's looking at me, and I gotta go get the laundry as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. What are your closing thoughts on what makes a good fantasy story for you, Nate?
Yeah, well, it's definitely like, the plot matters the most to me. I don't care if you have like, a fuck ton of fictional creatures. If you throw like a dragon Pegasus at me, if the story doesn't make sense,
Right.
it's wasted.
Yep.
Luckily, again, How to Train Your Dragon, the story is great.
Yeah.
I cried each fucking movie. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
there you have
Yeah,
it.
that's the main thing. You got to have a story with characters you're invested in. You can have all these fantastical creatures, but if you're not invested in any of the characters, then it literally means nothing. That's the thing with fantasy. It may be fantastical and absurd and almost unbelievable, but it has to be something that you could see yourself in. Even
Mm-hmm.
as absurd of the concepts might be. But that'll be our show.
Yeah.
Nate, go ahead and close us out.
Goodbye, YouTube. Goodbye, Rumble. Goodbye, Odyssey. This has been the Idiots Podcast.